Welcome back to 640 AM The Mix. And at 640, we're always stressing the importance of CB radio, ham radio, FRS, GMRS, PMR if you're in Europe, for personal communications. But what if you need to get information, broadcast information, and that's where shortwave comes in. And with the events going on in Europe, we wanted to see what the coverage is on some of the shortwave, long wave, and medium wave stations. So let's listen in.
The West economically, and Putin knows that if liberty and freedom and democracy made their way to his own country from a neighboring state like Ukraine, then his regime is over, and that's why he has launched repeated attacks on Ukraine for the better part of the past decade.
So how far
I'll
does
just add one last about the sanctions. One thing to watch for: Russia right now, for their hydrocarbons, increasingly is going to lead to China, and Russia is the junior partner in that alliance, and Russia will likely grow more dependent on China. I would believe that our analysts in the intelligence community will be tracking that closely.
And well, I think that's already happened, and I think that you're going to see a situation where, great, we'll support your territorial ambitions, but you're going to support ours when we take over Taiwan. Fair analysis?
I think that China is absolutely watching the extent to which the Biden administration has been unable to deal with this threat from Russia, as well as, of course, our chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, where we just disengaged and left behind a terrorist state with massive swaths of ungoverned space, which we know from 9/11 is a threat to our homeland. We did that, and I think that emboldened both Russia and China.
Let me ask you, Rebecca, you wrote this book, Putin's Playbook. You understand Putin's mind. Where's Putin going with all of this? What should we expect in weeks, days, months from now?
So in the days and more likely months, we should expect Putin to make certain moves to take control over the entire country of Ukraine. This is what he actually laid out, the legal basis for and the rationale. As you mentioned earlier, Sean, he said that Ukraine is not even a country. Russia created Ukraine. It never had its own statehood. He also laid out how Ukraine presents a threat to Putin. So this is what Dan just mentioned, except Putin portrayed Ukraine as a threat because it may become part of NATO, and then the distance between Russia and NATO forces would be dramatically reduced. And Putin believes that while NATO is saying that it's a defensive alliance, Putin is paranoid. And he believes, having watched what happened with Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan, he believes he's next. And he fears regime change, and therefore I believe he would move in to the entire Ukraine. He has the capability to do it. It is not by chance that he has assembled a formidable force there of 190,000 troops, has the weaponry pretty much surrounding Ukraine, practice nuclear tests, and all of these things. This is all a deterrence posture, and it's also to demonstrate to NATO stay away while he's taking care of his business, so to speak.
I think NATO has no choice, because these NATO countries, our Western European allies, are too dependent on Putin, right? Daniel, how do you negotiate from that position of weakness? Joe Biden imported 232 million barrels of oil from Russia himself last year.
Right. I mean, Russia is trying to drive a wedge between the United States and our Western allies. It's an old strategy that the Soviets used. He's using, for sure, Russia's natural gas and oil as a way to do it. And even just today, the Deputy National Security Advisor, Medvedev, who once served as Prime Minister and as President, he was telling the Germans that, now you can expect incredibly high prices for your natural gas. And he was kind of laughing that off. And he knows there will be an impact on the German economy. And Russia, we live in democracies, and people say about the foreign policy. And Vladimir, he's got a black belt in judo, and he knows that the best way to target us is by using our own strength against us. That's our freedom of the press and democracy and liberty. And so when we face higher gas prices in Europe and in the United States, that's going to put pressure on our political system, and that's exactly what Putin wants.
Well, it's going to work, and the obvious alternative would be to return to energy independence and being a net exporter of energy and supplying the energy needs of our NATO partners and our Western European allies. That isn't going to happen. Rebecca Koffler, thank you. Daniel Hoffman, thank you. 800-941-SEAN, our number. You want to be a part of the program? We'll get right to the phones for the rest of the hour. Look, interest rates.
Estados Unidos cree que Rusia descabezar al gobierno de Ucrania. El presidente Zelensky daba este discurso. El ataque de Rusia prosigue a la expectativa de que nuestras fuerzas desfallezcan, pero no estamos cansados. La defensa aérea de Ucrania protege nuestros cielos en la medida de lo posible. Mientras los aviones enemigos se ensañan contra las zonas residenciales, incluida la capital. Las explosiones terribles de esta mañana en Kiev, los bombardeos, el impacto de metralla, todo esto nos recuerda al primer ataque de este tipo en nuestra capital, que tuvo lugar en 1941. La diplomacia francesa, al considerar al presidente Zelensky en peligro, le ha ofrecido su ayuda y se inquieta además por Moldavia y Georgia. A todos los ciudadanos rusos que han salido a las calles a protestar, quiero agradecerles por confiar en nosotros y les pido que luchen por nosotros y contra la guerra, declaró el presidente Zelensky, quien ha informado de al menos 137 muertos ucranianos y ha advertido del posible acercamiento este viernes de los soldados rusos a Kiev. El ejército de Ucrania combate a tanques rusos que avanzan en dirección a Kiev. En las inmediaciones de la localidad de Ivánkiv se han las tropas ucranianas han volado a un puente para detener la columna rusa. Las tropas rusas ya controlan un aeropuerto cercano a la capital ucraniana. Estamos solos defendiendo nuestra nación. ¿Quién está listo para luchar con nosotros? No veo a nadie. ¿Quién está listo para garantizar la entrada de Ucrania? Todo el mundo tiene miedo. Decía el presidente ucraniano en el primer día de invasión rusa. Para proteger el Donbass, fue lanzado sobre varias ciudades y objetivos en todo el país. Sus tropas han tomado el control de la zona de exclusión de Chernóbil, donde han capturado al personal de la central. Esta toma de rehenes ilegal y peligrosa que puede impedir los esfuerzos rutinarios de esos civiles para mantener y proteger las instalaciones nucleares es increíblemente alarmante y preocupante para la secretaria de prensa de la Casa Blanca. La condenamos y exigimos su liberación. Para el presidente ruso, Ucrania supone una amenaza para Rusia, aunque asegura que no quiere tomar el control del país. Lo que está pasando son medidas forzosas. No nos dejaron otra forma de actuar. Putin asegura que solo quiere desmilitarizar Ucrania, pero sus tropas ya empiezan a acercar la capital desde las regiones aledañas a la antigua central nuclear. El ejército ruso ha tomado la deshabitada isla de las Serpientes, situada en el Mar Negro, a apenas 45 kilómetros de la ciudad rumana de Sulin. El ejército ruso intensifica sus ataques contra la capital de Ucrania. El gobierno de Kiev confirma que las tropas rusas han entrado en la capital desde el norte. Esta madrugada se reportaron dos fuertes explosiones en Kiev. Un edificio quedó en llamas. Según el ejército ucraniano, fueron disparos de misiles y lograron interceptar dos de ellos. El presidente Volodymyr Zelensky. Desde la invasión rusa han muerto al menos 137 civiles y militares. Hay más de 300 heridos y unos 100.000 desplazados. Zelensky insiste en que no ha abandonado la capital y ha vuelto a pedir a la comunidad internacional que no los dejen solos contra Rusia. Las sanciones, dicen, no bastan y pide una coalición anti-Moscú que fuerce a Putin a volver a la mesa de negociación. Más tarde o más temprano, Rusia tendrá que hablar con nosotros. Tendrá que hablar de cómo poner fin a los combates y parar esta invasión.
Ucrania anunció el jueves que las fuerzas rusas tomaron la central nuclear de Chernobyl tras una batalla feroz en el primer día de la ofensiva rusa contra el país. Lamentablemente tengo que reportar que en este momento toda la zona de Chernobyl y toda la planta nuclear de Chernobyl fueron tomados bajo control de los grupos militares
right now what's going on is the biggest war that has been going on in Europe since World War II. When people woke up and see this morning, Russia strategically every major city. They're bombing, shooting, missile attacks in every major city.
So he was lying when he said this was about Eastern Ukraine. That was a lie.
It was a complete lie. No one in Eastern Ukraine also asked for Putin to help Ukraine. This is a lie. Lie after lie after lie.
Were you surprised that he rolled in? I mean, under Trump, he would never have tried this. Trump showed that he bombed Syria without even thinking about it. He showed he would take out Soleimani. He took out al-Baghdadi. He showed the world we're not going to play games. Plus, he stopped this pipeline that is so important, the Nord Stream 2. Are you surprised under Biden that this happened, or were you afraid and you thought that it would happen?
To be honest, I was following American news, the United Nations news really, really closely, and I saw that, this might happen. I couldn't picture it in my mind because I wanted people to see what Ukraine is. Ukraine is the biggest country in Europe territorially. So it's not just like this little piece of something. It's huge. It's like Texas. It's huge.
Okay.
So I never imagined, nowadays that Russia would just start bombing all parts of Ukraine. No, I don't think any Ukrainians would have actually put it into their head.
Russia now is just lying, I believe you, about what they're doing. I don't think he would have tried this under Trump because Trump stopped Nord Stream 2 and Trump would have taken immediate action. But I heard a couple of days ago, correct me if I'm wrong, that Ukraine has its own million-man army. They've got a huge military. Why is there not a bigger pushback from Ukraine in stopping Russia? Is it that they know that Russia has the nukes and they can use them if they want? I mean, we're seeing Russia with their invasion and incursion into Ukraine. We're not hearing a lot about any resistance.
Oh, you're very wrong.
well, we're not hearing about it. I'm not saying it's not happening. We're just not hearing about it. Fill me in.
No. First of all, I don't think Ukrainian army is millions. I would have to check the numbers, but it's not millions. It is pretty small. It's smaller than
Okay, there you have it. Some of the coverage on shortwave and medium wave stations. I can't stress the importance of having backup communication plans, communications for yourself, and to get information. Shortwave radios bridge the gap when an emergency occurs. So very important to have a backup plan so you can stay informed and stay in the game. Like and subscribe. Leave comments below if you wish. And as always, we'll catch you next time right here on 640 AM, The Mix.